Do you know if you're voting or not, or no?
I don't know.
Again, you're not going to have to share it unless you want to.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if I am, honestly.
Okay. Do you want to?
I could talk about that. We could talk about
Yeah.
that if you want.
Still do voting, and actually maybe this is a good. Yeah. Do you want to do it? But we'll do it like maybe you can talk about his being unsure about it, or
Yeah,
something else.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. So we're back with Daniel. I'm David. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Again, I'm Daniel.
All right. So you're not sure if you're going to vote.
Yeah.
Okay. How confident are you that you will vote? 0 to 100.
I mean, I feel like it's probably a 90 because I feel like I think my parents might make me because I registered already. So I feel like they're gonna make me. I don't really know what side
Okay.
I pick.
Okay. You're 90% confident that you will vote. You're just not very confident
I
as who
Just
to
don't
vote for.
know who exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, what would have to happen for you to know who to vote for?
Probably to say I want more things that I believe in to be like talked about by the candidates.
Okay.
Just more of like my personal values that I'd want to see in society.
Okay. So, what would maybe cause you to be more motivated to vote is learning more about where each candidate stands on the issues that you care about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, I didn't look in too much about like what was happening with both candidates. Like I didn't watch the debate and stuff, so I didn't really know where a lot of them stood on what,
Okay.
etc.
Is there so what's the biggest issue that you would want them to be more clear about?
One thing I don't know if they did or didn't talk about it, but one thing I would want is like the current housing market to be addressed.
Okay.
Because wages have mostly not really gone up, but like if you look at it, wages will go up a tiny bit, and then like prices of housing, renting, etc., goes up dramatically constantly.
Gotcha.
So I'd want maybe something to be addressed about that, so
Okay.
the housing market wasn't as bad as it is.
Okay. Are you currently in a position where what happens with the housing market affects you greatly?
Not at the moment, but because like currently I'm going through college, and eventually that is going to lead to like I'm going to need a place to rent so that I can live there.
So you're kind of looking down the road.
So it's kind of like, yeah, down the road. So it probably wouldn't even be this election, it would be the next one where it would really impact it,
Okay.
because that would be like 4 or 5 years down the road.
Okay.
But even then, like if I were to live somewhere else off campus, that would be like, I don't know, maybe 2 years or something.
Okay. Let's say hypothetically that you went home and you watched a recorded version of the debate and you heard one candidate address housing in a way that you could get behind, you could support. Where would your confidence go, or in your motivation to want to vote at that point?
I feel like it would slightly increase, but not by much, because I'd still want to know everything they kind of stand for. Because
Okay.
let's also say, hypothetically, if they just stand on that, but then there's a ton of other stuff I don't agree with, then it's kind of like a scale weighting where like that would be lower than all the negative.
Okay.
So I'd need to find out like everything kind of about both of them.
Gotcha. Say we have a pie chart.
Mhm.
How big a piece of the pie has to do with housing?
10%.
Okay.
Or maybe even less, because there's tons of things
10% or less?
on the pie chart.
Okay.
Because there's probably like housing, jobs, economics, and then there's things that don't even involve the economy, like standings on guns, like homelessness, etc., etc.
Okay. Any of these other issues that you mentioned have a bigger slice of the pie than housing?
I feel like for the most part they would all be relatively the same, trying to keep every piece somewhat the same, but I feel like if I were to like boil down and look at each of them individually, I could be like, I care about this more than this. But I would still want every single piece, like more pieces than fewer pieces, but some pieces might be bigger than others. I feel like I just have to like look in on everything further and see where I stand.
What do you think could be the biggest piece? Let's say you heard the stance on all of these issues.
I think the biggest thing for me possibly related to like crime rate.
Crime. Okay.
Crime, and like see how they'd address it, because like there could technically be both parties, they could address it but in two separate ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be like, I prefer this way of addressing it than this way, but it just depends, because that's like one of them. I would say maybe though one of the biggest ones is probably like the economy and like jobs though.
Okay. They all kind of sound pretty even.
Yeah, they're all like pretty balanced, I'd say.
Okay. So if it's okay, can we talk about the percentage of your motivation to vote? Because it sounds like, if I'm understanding correctly, you're 90% confident that you will vote, and a main reason for that is because you think that your parents are going to basically force you to vote.
Yeah.
Okay. Where would you say on that scale, 0 to 100, about your motivation to vote on your own? Take your parents out.
On my own?
Like if you didn't have the pressure from your parents?
If I didn't, I feel like I'd be at like a 50-50 right now.
50?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because like I wouldn't really know who to vote for. I don't know if I agree with a lot of the things both of them are saying, to where it's like I just need to figure out more about one side in order to figure out who I'd want to vote for. And even then, maybe it would just be better to just abstain.
Okay. Do you see any downsides to not voting?
I'd see a downside, because then it's like, oh, my voice isn't heard, and I mean, I'm not voting, and it feels like a little bad, because I did register to vote and stuff, so it feels like I should. And then at the same time, it's like, should I vote if I don't know who or what I'm voting for?
Okay. Do you have a best friend?
Yeah.
Let's say your best friend was in the same position as you. They were like 50-50, and they weren't really up on the issues as far as where the candidates stand. Would you want them to vote?
Probably not. Because it's like if you don't know what you're voting for, you probably shouldn't.
Okay.
Because if you don't know like who you're supporting to the point where it's like you don't know what they stand on, it's like you might not want to vote.
Do you feel like you could do more damage by voting and not knowing about the issues?
I think you could. I think it would be more damage to vote for someone who you don't know what they stand on than to not vote. Because if you don't vote, then it's like, okay, well, maybe you could have voted for someone to do this or not. But if you do vote without knowing who's who and you just like, I don't know, pick names out of a hat
Uh-huh.
and you vote for someone and suddenly it's like, let's say then they get in office and it's like, oh no, they're doing all of this that I don't believe in. Then it kind of has some guilt on your part where it's like, I voted for this person because I didn't know what to do.
Do you feel like whoever is president affects your life?
Personally, I haven't seen it affect my life, but there are probably subtle ways that it would, but I haven't seen anything yet. But I haven't paid attention that much because I never really knew what they'd stand on in even past presidencies.
Gotcha.
So I wouldn't know how it had changed my life.
Would you prefer to know more about where the candidates stand on these issues?
Probably. I'm probably gonna need to like look into what both sides stand on so that I can try and get more information about what to do with XYZ, where they stand, and all that.
Okay. What would cause you to do that?
I think a bit of my own curiosity at this point, because it's like I kind of want to know what these people stand on so that I could vote. Because it's like, to be able to make a choice in this, being able to finally understand, like, oh, I could make a choice into this. Maybe I should honestly look into it more so that I could make that choice. Because even if it does or doesn't, at least I tried.
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions you have for me or Quaid from the other day or anything?
I don't think so.
I have a quick thought experiment based on the topic that you had on Wednesday.
Okay.
Back to the prison system.
Prisons, yeah.
And the thought experiment is, let's say that somebody committed a heinous crime against someone that you love. And hypothetically, we have this magic pill that would absolutely guarantee that if they took their pill with their own consent, would guarantee that they would never commit a crime like that again and go free. Would you be in favor of giving them the pill?
I think I'd be in favor of it.
Okay, why?
Because on paper, then it's like they're going back out, they're changing for the better and becoming this better person. Like, they were going to, like, of course they're gonna like have the normal like punishment and sentence, but after that, then like they served their time, they finished, they technically got what they deserved, which was like the years they were in prison, and now they're out and gone, changed.
Yeah, and just to be clear, if they took the pill, they wouldn't do any time.
They wouldn't do any time at all.
Right. They would take the pill that would guarantee that they would never commit a crime like that, and they would go free.
I feel like I'd rather have it so instead of immediately going free, they'd be in there for like maybe like I don't know, I'll just say like 30 years because I don't know like an exact, but I'd want them to be in there for a bit to understand like the gravity of the actions rather than just immediately just going out and leaving.
Okay. Cool. Well, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, maybe we'll see you around some other day.
Probably. I'll walk this way to get back to my dorm anyway.
Right on. Did you? I don't know if I told you about the QR code. You can scan it and.
And it takes you to the YouTube channel.
Yep. Cool.
I believe you're
Thanks
in one of
again.
my classes.
No, I see you at Troop.
Oh shoot, yeah.
Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
Hey, you guys have a
I'm
good
doing
one?
great. How are you?
Pretty good.
I'm Connor.
I'm David.
Nice
Good to meet you.
David.
Your turn if you want it.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.